Hey, welcome back. This is Captain Ron. Today we're going to discuss a fatality accident that happened on December 4th on Sunday 11:30 at Beverly Regional Airport in Beverly, Massachusetts. I'm going to use this model to try to illustrate when it happened. It was a takeoff climb, lost control and crashed. It was in a auto gyro Cavalon, which is a side-by-side aircraft, and the pilot was on the right side, solo pilot. A little background, the gentleman was 66 years old. This was his new aviation venture, and he had a total of 100 hours, including instructions and pilot and command. And the weather was good, and the problem is he hadn't flown in 5 months prior to this day he was flying. So that's a red flag by itself. But anyway, I want to give you a little information on the aircraft itself. Now, any gyroplane is subjected to this type of crash if it's not flown properly. And the aircraft had a Rotax 915. That's 140 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower. And I think you should understand what happens when you use a lot of that horsepower on takeoff. The propeller rotates counterclockwise, looking at it from the rear. So the torque rolls the aircraft, normally rolls it to the left. And it also yaws to the left due to the torque of the engine and the horsepower. Okay, so when that happens, for instance, if it rolls to the left, you've used some of that left cyclic, because you can either use your cyclic control, left, right, back, and forward, once the aircraft is in level flight and it has a proper CG, okay? So when he took off, climbed out, by the way, they had surveillance cameras and a lot of witnesses, so what I'm about to explain to you is quite accurate. Took off, climbed out, and he must have been using a lot of the throttle because the aircraft yawed considerably to the left, okay? And you really, when you do that, in fact, witnesses said that it was almost 60 degrees to the left. But just keep in mind that you have all this fuselage surface and all this tail surface, and the wind is blowing against this, and it's dragging the aircraft, and it rolls the whole aircraft to the left and up. All right, when it does that, and it's yawed so much that you run out of left cyclic. He's used that cyclic up when the fuselage rolled up to the left. So at this point, about approximately 50 feet in the air, the aircraft just has no lift, and it fell down and landed on its right side. Okay, so the point being, and by the way, the investigation is ongoing, and we don't know why he allowed this aircraft to yaw so much to the left. There's some possibilities. Maybe he had a medical problem, or maybe he pushed the wrong rudder by mistake. Okay, so you don't slip a gyroplane. You got to keep it straight as much as you can. There's a yaw string, a yaw indicator to maintain the aircraft to be in proper direction, the direction you're flying in. If this was a takeoff accident. Now, a few years ago, we also had some fatality accidents when there was a tandem aircraft with a partial fuselage, and it was coming for a landing. And what happens, they slipped it. They intentionally moved the yaw to the left or to the right. Let's just use it to the left, and try to lose altitude without gaining airspeed. the same thing happens. The airspeed pushes on the side surfaces of the fuselage, rolls the aircraft up, and it just falls out of the sky. Now, airplanes, they can slip. You can slip an airplane because the wings and the fuselage is all structurally together. And airplanes slip to lose altitude, and then they straighten out to land. They have full control with their ailerons, their rudders, and everything. You can slip an airplane in, but you don't slip a gyroplane. If you want to lose altitude on final approach, or anytime, you would do a vertical descent. You just bring the nose of the aircraft up, throttle back, let the aircraft sink. It's not going to fall out of the sky. And then at the appropriate altitude, you lower the nose, pick up your approach speed, and flare to land. Okay? So it's very important that you don't slip a gyroplane. You don't need to slip a gyroplane. And they're all, like I said, they're all subject to the same problems if you don't maintain a forward, straight yaw, proper yaw when you're flying the aircraft. A few things you should remember. If you haven't flown in several months, get with either a Gyroplane CFI or any Gyroplane experienced pilot and just fly a few hours so you get back into the groove of things of flying. Because especially if you're a new pilot and you don't fly for 5 months or 2 months or 3 months or whatever, you need some kind of recurrency training. It's highly recommended. So, and always fly within the aircraft's limitations. Every aircraft has its limitations. If you're reading the pilot's handbook, it'll tell you what you can do and what you should not do. And there's also your limitations. You know, just because the aircraft will perform safely in certain maneuvers, you, the pilot, may not be capable of doing that. So you have to recognize your limitations. And if you do that, you'll have a lot of fun flying a gyroplane. And contrary to popular belief, gyroplanes can be flown safely. And you should not try to fly a gyroplane like you do an airplane. It's just a little bit different technique. So be safe, and hope this helps. Thank you for watching.